Welcome. What is the strongest devil fruit? What would you say is the strongest devil fruit? One of the main villains in One Piece, of course, Blackbeard. That's his whole thing. His whole thing is about having the strongest devil fruits. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what the strongest devil fruit is, and maybe not what the actual strongest is, but a lot of the strong ones. And if there's one I don't mention, comment them down below. I always enjoy reading the comments. First off, let's talk a little bit about the Paramecias of the world, the most common devil fruit, I would say. And here you of course have the Gura Gura no Mi, which is Whitebeards. It literally makes him able to crack the air, and is described by Sengoku as one of the strongest, and it has the power to destroy the world. Obviously, Whitebeard had it. I don't know if we know how long he's had it. Of course, he had it when he fought Roger, and up until Marineford. He later dies, and Blackbeard somehow gets it. Maybe he had a fruit, like what we see in Punk Hazard with Smiley. Maybe he had a fruit, and just transformed it to the devil fruits, and then he ate it. But then how did Blackbeard have two? We don't know. Whitebeard is of course a legend in his own right. He is most likely a Buccaneer. We don't know, but the power of the fruit itself is very big. But you also do gotta account for Whitebeard himself having pretty good control of it. We do see Blackbeard at the end of Marineford not having full control over it, and just seeing how destructive it really can be. But there are other fruits, other Paramecias, that I would say is on the same level. And you, for example, have the Opi Opi no Mi, which is Law's fruit. It can literally do anything you want. It is the operation fruit, right? You can create a room, you can cut whatever you want, you can move, you can teleport. We even see it in Wano that Law teleports using the rain when he attacks the boat with Kid and Luffy. And he also teleports to Akazai 9 on top of one of the mountains at Onigashima. And we literally got a whole section of the story just focused on the Opi Opi no Mi, and how important it really can be. Law had the White Lead Disease, which also gets mentioned in the Bonnie flashback, and there's not really any weaknesses to it except for stamina. And when Law is fighting Dofi, he loses a lot of stamina, and that is a problem. Maybe with him, but maybe also the fruit. Maybe the fruit just takes a lot to use, or maybe he just doesn't have that good stamina. We don't know. And you of course also have Kid. Maybe not. It's maybe not seen as one of the strongest, but you can make a lot of stuff. In one of the anime little cutscenes that plays in the middle of the episodes, Kid has like a devil or like a butterfly, and if he can control those butterflies, those can be very dangerous. He also makes an ox, and Law obviously jokes about him making an elephant or a hippo, right? And we also see the awakenings of these fruits. Law's he makes so he can use it on his swords, and then have like an extension of the actual room itself. Meanwhile, Kid, he can do the South and North Pole and put different magnetization on different people and different things, right? I would say those are pretty powerful. You also have these special Paramecias. There's only one in the story so far, and that is Karakuri. It originally wasn't special Paramecias. Originally it was just a Paramecia or just a Logia. I don't remember, but Oda did change it to a special Paramecia. I do hope we see more of those, but it basically functions like a Logia, just that Karakuri just changes his body on his own with his observation haki. It doesn't change automatically from what we know, but he can do a lot of what Luffy can, stretch. He can even kind of make you stuck to his powers, which is very interesting. And there's a lot of use to it. He makes himself into a donut and then rolls to go attack Luffy, right? And during the fight, it's basically a point that is the same as Luffy's. Now if we're talking Logias, which is generally seen as the most powerful, A lot of Logia users die young. That's a statement made by Peckhams, I'm pretty sure, at Fishman Island. Usually these are seen as very strong. They're strongest just because they're elements. You can just dodge stuff without really noticing. There is a scene in Alabasta, of course, where Luffy charges in at the bar when Ace is there and Smoker actually gets hit by Luffy. Luffy does a Gum Gum Rocket, but you don't generally have to dodge. You can just have it on and you dodge everything that's coming at you. Unless, of course, it's Haki or Sea Prism. You, of course, have Ace's Fruits, Mera Mera no Mi, or the Flare Flare Fruit. It is literal fire. It is as good as you can get. There is so much destructive power with that fruit. Another one is, for example, the Rumble Rumble Fruit, which is Eneru's fruit, the lightning one. I mean, Eneru literally combines his observation Haki with the fruit to be able to sense over all of Skypiea. Something we haven't really seen, especially with observation Haki. And he can literally create like a death ball or a supernova from the sky and shoot it down. You also have other ones like the Sut Sut fruit, which is Karusu's fruit from the Revolutionary Army. That one is very interesting. He can create kind of like some spikes that comes from the ground. He turns himself into crows as well. And yeah, it just functions like a normal Logia because it is. And you have Zoans, the normal ones. I'm gonna touch upon the others a little bit later. The normal ones, they're generally just seen as a stat boost. One of the most popular ones is Lucci's fruit, turned into a leopard, I'm pretty sure, or cheetah. But it kind of gives him this bloodlust, which Chopper explains. And he generally just gets a stat buff. He gets more speed, he gets more attack, more defense. Obviously, he does infuse some of the 6 powers with his fruit, like Paper Art Life Form or Life Return, which makes him a little bit slimmer. It can also, of course, turn into a full-on leopard, which all of the Zoans can do. They have 3 forms generally, unless you are, for example, like Chopper, who can use the Rumble Balls to change forms. And the human fruits, if a normal human ate it, you would kind of just get enlightenment. That's what Oda said. Now, what that means, you tell me. I don't know. Maybe you can kind of see the universe. Maybe you get the voice of all things. That'll be kind of cool. You, of course, also have the Ancient Zones. These have been in play a lot recently, especially in Wano. You have, for example, Drake. You have Who's Who. You have Black Maria, Sasaki, all of the Tobiropo. You have Jack is an Ancient Zone. You have Queen and you have King. Something interesting about Queen is that a lot of people think he was supposed to be a scorpion, because if you look at his ship, it actually has like a scorpion design. But then maybe Oda changed it into a Brachiosaurus because he liked that more. Those as well just seem to give you a stat boost. They do have a lot of endurance apparently, and they're rarer than the other ones. And then you have the Ancient Zoans. The Ancient Zoans, these are kind of like a combination of all 3. They usually give you stat boosts, multiple transformations, but also different powers. Let's take Luffy's, for example, the Hito Hito no Mi Moto Nika. You get the rubber fruit, you get the rubber body basically. You get a stat boost, you get a transformation, and that in turn, it also gives you freedom, from what we know, which is why it's so perfect for Luffy, right? Another one is, for example, Kaido's. It makes you have multiple transformations, a Blue Azure Dragon, a hybrid form. And you can fly, you can breathe fire, you can make the weather appear, lightning storms, all of that. You also have Sengoku's fruit, which is another model of the human fruit, the human model Buddha. And it makes him transform into a big golden Buddha and create shockwaves through his arms. And that's all we know from that power. You, of course, also have some other fruits that don't follow the same rules. I talked a little bit about the Karakuri's fruits, the Mochi fruits. We also have Blackbeard's fruits, which does not give you the power to take whatever, kind of like a normal Logia, but you take the damage and you actually feel more pain but you can then drag in Delver users, and when you touch them, you can nullify their abilities, as seen in the Ace fight and when he hit Luffy as well. This combined with the Gura Gura no Mi is very dangerous, of course. It will be very interesting to see if he gets another fruit, maybe this time a Zoan, right? A lot of people have said that. We did see him think about getting the Opi Opi no Mi, but obviously a lot he goes away. But yeah, what fruit do you think is the strongest? Or do you think the Zoans are the strongest, the ancient Zoans, the mythical Zoans, the Logias, Paramecia, special Paramecias? Which one do you like best? Which one do you think is the strongest? Comment down below. Like and subscribe. Have a great day. Have an awesome day. And bye.